Now let's begin.
3, 2, 1.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Fro Thizzle in the building. And today I'm going to be talking about the movies that I watched and rewatched in March 2023. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Peep the posters. We got Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Training Day, Casino. I got a bunch laying around in the house, but my background, I'm going to be getting more smaller posters to fill out. But moving on, I'm going to start with my first time watches. I caught Scream 6 in the theater, and if you want my full thoughts, I got my review on the channel. But long story short, I had a good time, but I did have a lot of problems with it. Coming from someone who wasn't a huge fan of 5, I did think 6 was a big step up. I cared for the characters more often this time around. Still like Jenna Ortega. I thought Melissa Barrera was a tad bit better than her cardboard performance in the 5th one, but I was very underwhelmed with the finale. But for the full thoughts, check it out on my channel. I don't want to go into too many spoilers on this video. Next up, we have I Am Wrath, starring John Travolta. This one has a very straight-to-DVD flick feel, and there's nothing incredible at all with this flick. But I had a decent time. I didn't think Travolta was really sleepwalking with this one. There is a bit of emotion that I personally felt, but the one who steals the whole movie for me is Christopher Meloni. I've always been a fan of this guy ever since he was Elliot Stabler on SVU, or crazy-ass Chris Keller on the prison show Oz. That's pretty brutal. But here I easily thought he stole the show every time he popped up. And I thought Meloni and Travolta had a fantastic chemistry that felt bigger than the movie itself. But nonetheless, decent time. A little bit better than I expected. The movie that won Brendan Fraser his first Oscar, The Whale. Same with this one here. If you want a full Fro breakdown, check out the review on my channel. Long story short, I like The Whale quite a bit. Fantastic performances all around. Fraser knocks it out of the park. It's a once-in-a-lifetime performance. Hong Chow I'm a big fan of as of recently, and I thought she knocked it out of the park here. Having said that, it is a pretty moody watch throughout, and I don't recommend it for everybody if you don't like slow burn dramas that are pretty heavy. But I personally had a solid time. A movie that I never got to see, but it's always been on my watch list forever. The Stallone flick, Cobra. I had a blast with this one. Tons of kick-ass action, all done practically, really dope stunt work. I thought Stallone was dope and pretty badass as the title character, Cobra. He's going after a cult that's trying to kill off a witness, played by Brigitte Nielsen. So Stallone has to protect this witness and fight off this cult and all these bad guys. And I do find this one a bit underrated. I had a blast. This one was fucking awesome. The new Woody Harrelson movie, Champions. I got to see this one in the theater, and this was another one that I had a lot of fun with. We've seen a million of these movies where the coach has to teach the underdog team in order to get the gold at the very end of the movie. And honestly, there's nothing new about the story of the plot, but nevertheless, I had a great time. I thought this movie was very heartfelt. There was a lot of love put into it. Me personally, I didn't feel that the film was really sensitive to the subject matter or the plot revolving around a teen being disabled or mentally impaired, if you will. In fact, I thought the movie did a pretty damn good job showcasing the team and getting us to like these characters. I really liked all of the characters. I didn't really have anybody that I didn't care too much for, besides the love interest of Woody Harrelson. But the overall team I loved and cared for, so I had a blast with this movie. Besides the not-so-new plot, I do recommend this one, and I'll even get this one on Blu-ray. The Alexandre Aja film, Crawl. I've been trying to watch this flick since it came out in 2019, and even meant to go to the theaters, but I didn't really have enough time. So it came across my Paramount recently, and I said, yo, I gotta give it a shot. And I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up. A good chunk of this movie is set in one house, because it's our lead character and her father, played by Barry Pepper, fighting against these fucking alligators, trapped in a hurricane out of all things. So I thought this movie gave a really nice claustrophobic feeling at times. Besides the obvious creature action elements with the alligator when it's attacking, which I did have fun with. Even if it was a bit predictable at times, I still enjoyed the alligator attacks And the death scenes, the kills were pretty brutal. Actually, a bit more brutal than I expected. Aquarium of the Fucking Dead. This was a waste of time. I don't recommend this one if you want to watch a so bad it's good film. It's not even worth it on that aspect. Part of me feels like an asshole sometimes when I'm reviewing a movie like this because this isn't a huge budget and you can obviously tell it's very noticeable. But just as a viewer and me being honest, there's nothing enjoyable about this fucking movie at all. I do not recommend this one. And I don't want to be mean with it, but it is what it is. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Same with this one. I've been trying to see it since I believe it came out last year, June, and I just did not have the time. Yesterday, I finally got to check it out, and as a Beavis and Butthead fan, I was not disappointed. I was chuckling and laughing my ass off 10 minutes in. I was having a blast and rolling on the floor. It's still the same dumb, very goofy humor that Beavis and Butthead is known for, but I'm a goofy guy, so me and that humor is hand in glove. And through the whole film, probably a good 95 or 96% of this film, I was laughing very hard. I will admit, there is a little bit of time that does slow down, probably when we get towards the middle act, but nowhere near for me to drop the score that I have for this movie on a massive scale. I'm going to save my rating for a future review, but long story short, had an awesome time. Did not disappoint Fro. Moving on to my rewatches, and these are all Stallone flicks. These are movies I've probably seen 5 or 4 times each a piece, but some of these were rewatches with my boy Casper and his first time watching these flicks. These rewatches are movies that I want to give full breakdowns in the future with future reviews, but I'm going to try to run through them and sum them up pretty quickly. Rocky 3, fantastic. If you had a gun to my head and asked me what's your favorite Rocky film, Fro, Rocky 3 might be up there. That's how I really love this fucking movie. We have Clubber Lang as the bad guy, Mr. T, he's the opponent. Rocky's fighting, but he's not fighting anybody at the caliber as tough of a Mr. T in this one. In fact, Rocky's even gotten really comfortable. He's top of the world. He has his own fucking candy bars and his name on various big money products, etc. And Clubber Lang is a big threat in this one. But I gotta say, Burgess Meredith is the man, and Mickey is my personal favorite character of this whole franchise. Just to say right now. First Blood, the very first Rambo movie. Knockout film, awesome flick, fantastic music, solid acting, very moody, great atmosphere. It is a bit of a slow burn at times, but I personally did not mind this because I was super invested and immersed into this fucking movie. On this rewatch, this might be the 3rd time I've seen this film, and the first 2 times I was a bit younger. I was around 14 or 15, so I'm 25 now, and it was even better this time around. I was catching things that I didn't catch before. Rocky 4, what I think is another fantastic Rocky entry. Of course, the biggest nitpick or problem that everybody has with this one is Paulie's robot. And I remember having a big problem my first couple times around, but with this rewatch, I was actually enjoying Paulie's robot quite a bit more and was actually laughing at a lot of times involving Paulie and the robot, especially when Paulie changes the robot into a female voice. That actually gave me a pretty big chuckle with this watch for some reason. But we have Dolph Lundgren, really badass as Drago. We have one of the better fights in this whole franchise. At the very end, Drago and Rocky, very brutal, beating the shit out of each other, pretty bloody fight, highly enjoyable, and I love this Rocky movie as well. I'm going to say my further thoughts on a future review. First Blood Part 2, what I think is a pretty underrated action flick. If you go on IMDb, it's only like a 6.5 out of 10, while the first one is like a 7.7. And I think they're pretty damn close. I think they're both fantastic. Part 2 does feel way more action-packed. The first Rambo flick does have its share of action, but there is a bit of slow burn moments and sequences in the movie. At the end of the first Rambo flick, he gets caught by the police. So we start Part 2 where Rambo swinging the pickaxe, he's in the prison, and the homie Troutman, Colonel Troutman, who I'm a big fan of, fantastic character, informs Rocky about a mission to save some POWs. We also have Murdoch in here, who's a slimeball of a villain. But yeah, I think Part 2 is nearly on par with the first one. I think it's awesome. I think they're both awesome. Rocky 5. Now, this is me included, but I'm sure this is everybody's least favorite Rocky film of the franchise. But I gotta give it some credit, man. I don't shit on this movie as much as people do. I think the scene where Rocky's remembering Mickey in the ring is fantastic. I think that's an awesome scene. I even have a good time with the street fight at the end of this film with Rocky and Tommy Gunn, despite me having problems with the Tommy Gunn character and him being an asshole. Paulie's also one of my favorite characters of the franchise, so he gives me a big laugh here and there. And I love when Paulie tells off Tommy in the bar before the street fight. I think the biggest problem for me with 5 is Stallone's performance. It's very over-exaggerated and over the top at times, but he's pretty subdued towards the end of the film and he starts feeling like the Rocky character that I love. But for a big chunk of the film, I thought Stallone was struggling. I didn't think it was the best acting job of the franchise at all. Definitely my least favorite Rocky performance. But there are cool moments. In the bar, towards the end, he says, "Hey, you knocked him down, why don't you try knocking me down?" When Tommy Gunn punches Paulie, I love that part. Like I said before, love the Rocky remembering Mickey scene. Fantastic for me. But I would definitely say my least favorite Rocky film of the franchise by a landslide. And I'm counting 1 through 6. I'm not counting the Creed films. And the last rewatch for March 2023 was the fantastic Rocky Balboa. This is a movie that I'm very happy exists. So much time has passed between 5 and 6, and it's very noticeable. Everybody's older, Stallone's older, Paulie's aged, everybody's up there. But it feels like the fire has not been lost. I feel all the performances in this movie are fantastic. I thought the writing in this movie was awesome, super uplifting, heartwarming, motivational. This is a movie that can get you out of your seat and light some fire under you. This movie is very moody though. We have Rocky reflecting through the whole movie as he's getting ready to fight his final fight of his life against Mason Dixon, played by Antonio Tarver. Rocky's battling a beast inside. He's very hurt ever since Adrian passed away. And I think this movie might contain Stallone's best performance ever. Technically on the acting side, Stallone really hits you in the feels with this film. But Rocky Balboa is one of my favorite movies in the franchise and also one of my favorite movies ever. That's how much I love it personally. And that's what I watched in 2023. It's been your boy Fro Thizzle. Until next time.